Welcome everyone, and today we're going to be talking about website security and how that impacts your business and your search engine optimization strategy and how we can build up a good defense against potential hackers and threats. So let us begin. I'm Kurt Hamel, and make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll be doing this every week, as I've been doing for the past few weeks. This is my weekly webinar, and they're all going to be on Wednesdays from now on. You can find me at kurthamel.com and on Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, you name it, and obviously YouTube as you're watching right now. And today we're going to be we're going to be doing a checkup for security on your website. And so there's like three main reasons why security matters. Time, user trust, SEO. Time is that time that it takes away from you if your website gets hacked. Imagine if you built an amazing website, have no backup or anything, it gets hacked, it's done, it's gone. What do? You've just lost so much time. Think about all that effort, time, maybe money you've put in there. Even more important than money is that time and effort you've put into it. That's a lot of stuff just gone down the drain. User trust. If a user is coming to your website and their browser is flagging it as infected and that their computer could possibly get infected, they are not going to trust your brand. They are not going to trust your authority in your domain. You do not want a virus on your site that makes you look like a fool. And then SEO. For Google and Bing, they're not going to rank a website high up that has a virus. They're going to flag that and get that off their search engine list. They don't want to be giving their users, an infection like through their computer. And all of these is just a loss in your traffic and business. When you combine all these different aspects, this is why security is so important. But more than anything, honestly, you just don't want to have your website lose all your work, lose your user trust, lose your SEO rankings, just lose business. So you got to make sure your website is secure, and today we're going to go through those steps on how to make sure it's secure, how to have backups, and everything else. And the essentials we're going to go over today is going to be password strength, SSL encryption, backups, virus protection, and some more little additional tips and tricks at the end. And password protection, basically you need a good secure password. There are three main important factors to that. That's length, unique, and symbols. And what does that mean? It's like length. You don't want a 5-digit password, right? You need a the longer the better. Something like if you can have over 12 digits, 12 characters, that's better. You want a combination also of symbols, numbers, uppercase and lowercase letters, especially the symbols. And you want it to be unique. You do not use the same password in more than one location. You don't want your Gmail account, your website, and your Facebook to have the same passwords. If a hacker gets one of those, he's most likely going to try your different accounts because he's probably got a list of all your accounts online. So, and then why the length and symbols matter is because one of the main ways hackers try to get into a website is just repetitive brick smashing. Basically, they use an algorithm that tries every possibility of a password over and over again until they break in. So if your password is just all lowercase letters, that's basically what they start with. They go through every letter of the alphabet in an extended string over and over again, and eventually they hit letters and numbers mixed up until they hit X amount of characters. Adding in symbols creates an exponentially higher unlikely chance that they can randomly crack just by trying a random configuration of numbers, letters, and passwords. So always add some symbols in there too. It just helps for additional security. If you have trouble remembering unique passwords for everything, there are dedicated password managers all the time now. Google, Mozilla, Internet Explorer Edge, through Microsoft, they all have built-in applications that you can install that are dedicated password managers. You can create a spreadsheet with all your passwords. Now, with any of these being created, though, it comes down to another question: is that secure? So if you don't have a good secure password for that password manager or list, boom, you could get it all stolen. A good tip to trick is just to have it all written down on paper in the real world, but obviously don't lose that too. I use a password manager. I use Google Google Chrome add-ons. That's the easiest way for me to store a million different passwords because each one's secure. So if my Facebook got hacked, they can't use that info for anything else. Oh, and do not give out your passwords ever. If someone needs to get into one of your accounts, create either an lower level account on that profile for your website. Like, don't give them admin privileges, give them user or editor privileges. You always want to have the top level domain or top level influence on that domain. Don't be giving out your password. When to change your password. Alright, and so now we're talking about passwords. Obviously we work in teams a lot. Sometimes a lot of people have the same password for your website. Maybe you're a small business, a larger business. There might be a lot of people on that website. You know, you probably have some transitions here and there. Some person who you might have loved them, they might have been your best friend, but once they leave your team, you should probably change that password. You really only want the people that are still on the project to be working to have access. After finding a virus on your site or computer, if there's an infection on your website, you need to change your passwords immediately. Especially if there's a virus in your computer. It's a lot of things people don't think about. When there's a virus in your computer, a lot of times there will be a keylogger in that virus scanning everything you've been typing on your computer. So they have all your passwords now. Because your computer got infected, that could mean, I'm not saying it always means, but it could mean that they have your passwords. So once you have a virus in your computer, if you found that and remove that, you need to change all your passwords immediately. And when other accounts have been compromised. So if you have an account that happens to have the same password, I know I said don't have the same password, but if for some reason you were using the same password, you need to change your password immediately. And also, it could be a sign that they might also have just hacked more than just that account. They might have gotten data for other multiple accounts. So be aware. Just be always in the know of what's going on. And then some additional protection with that password is called an Authenticator. So what that is it can be an application. A lot of times nowadays it'll just be on your smartphone device. Just get it on there. It's an app. There's two best free ones are Google's verification tools and Microsoft Authenticator. They're really easy to install. If you're using WordPress or some other website hosting software, you just basically, when you type in a password, blah, 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 when you try to log in, it'll also try to verify with your phone. So it'll send a quick little message to your phone, and it'll pop up on your phone. It's like, is this you logging in? And you click yes. Easy way, even if someone had your password, they'd still need your phone also to be able to log in. So it's an extra backup. It's a great protection tool that I also use on my stuff. Very easy, very simple. No one's going to get into my website even if they have my password. And it'll let you know if someone has your password because you'll get a notification on your phone. That's a good time to change your password. And now one of the new, more modern updates to the web infrastructure are SSL certificates. Now these are not to protect your website, but these protect your customer and client's info. So if you accept credit cards on your websites or take in other information forms, this encrypts the transmission of information between the web browser and your website. And so that's that little, at the very beginning of the URL, if you look at the top left corner of your browser on YouTube, it'll say HTTPS, or on my website. And that S is the newest edition. That's for the secure. For the SSL, so a lot of websites still just are HTTP, and those are not secure. So if you're entering in credit card info on a HTTP URL, it could easily be stolen by hackers. So most people now, they're free to get. Let'sEncrypt.org. If you have someone doing your website or anything, they're free to install, free to update. And most hosting services provide them too, like DreamHost, Bluehost. They automatically include them with most packages nowadays. Some do not, like HostGator and GoDaddy. They try to scam you for them, but you can still get them for free from Let's Encrypt and still put them on there. It's just a little harder. Oh, and also it will affect your SEO rankings starting this year if you do not have SSL encryption. So if Google's comparing two sites, one's encrypted, one's not, you know who's they're going to rank above yours? They're going to rank the encrypted website. And if you guys have any questions at any point, just shoot it in the side in the chat here or in the comments later on YouTube. And now backups. Now that's a secure part of being secure. So let's say you've done all this extra security steps, amazing password, no virus, super good protection, SSL certificates, everything. You still get hacked. What do you do? And it might not even be hacking either. It might just be you broke something on your website. Just go to your backup. You just reinstall from whatever your backup is. Mine, I back up my website once a week automatically. So I use a program called, what do I use? It's Backup Buddy. It's right there. So that automatically stores a copy of my website onto my Google Drive for me. And I also have, once a month, I do a physical copy on a USB for myself. So you probably want to have a cloud storage and a USB. A lot of hosting services will provide backup for you. It might cost you a little extra a month, maybe like $1 or $2. Like GoDaddy, HostGator, Bluehost, DreamHost, any of those, whatever one-in-one, whatever services you're paying for. They might be complimentary or they might be additional costs, but they also provide cloud hosting. But I would say either manually or through Backup Buddy is a plugin that works through like one of your cloud storage, like Google Drive and WordPress, or manually just copying all your files and putting them into your cloud storage, or paying for your hosting service to have a cloud backup. That's very important because it might not even be, you might even get infected. Something might just break on your site, and a lot of times there's additional updates to PHP or WordPress or something that comes through, and there was a little hole they accidentally left for hackers to get in. It might not even be your fault, but if you have that backup, you're good to go for the future. So always have at least one backup. I always have 2 in case something happens to the first backup. 2 backups. Virus and malware protection. So there is website virus and malware protection. I wouldn't super recommend that unless you are taking in a lot of data, like a lot of credit cards on your website and are a larger business. Like my website I do not accept credit cards through my website. I use third-party hosts like PayPal. So I don't have virus protection software on my website. Maybe not the best thing to say out there because I might get hacked. Nah, probably not. If you're a larger company, you're going to want all this. But for smaller websites, there's not really a need for virus protection software as much, because once you're hacked, you're just kind of hacked. You're just going to want that backup to go in place immediately. You'll kind of notice. But the most important thing is to have that virus protection software on your computer. Your computer can get hacked. Like, it's going to be much more likely you downloaded a bug onto your computer and then there's a keylogger or something on there that steals your info from your physical computer or laptop or phone, and that's how they get your password. It's very rarely that they just totally break into your website unless you have no protection up. Yeah, and so there's a lot of keylogger viruses that can record your keystrokes and just get your password that way. So make sure you have updated virus and malware protection. And also Macs can get viruses. That's a very big thing that a lot of people don't know that for some reason, but Macs are almost more apt to get viruses these days than Windows. So if you have a Mac, you still need all this stuff too. Windows has pretty good built-in virus protection, but you can always get more additional stuff. Keeping your website up to date. This is generally just make sure you're updated to the newest client. If you're using WordPress, make sure all WordPress is up to date, plugins are up to date. If you are using an old school HTML website, make sure everything's updated there, including your backend stuff like your PHP. Just make sure everything's up to date. If you're using other services, but if you're using like Squarespace, they automatically update most stuff. Just make sure that's on. But just make sure everything's up to date, because that when they find a new virus or new hack, they update the platforms. So you just want to always be up to date. A lot of things offer automatic updates, and that might be right for you, that might be not. So just make sure you are as recent as you can with your updates. SQL injections. This is a little more technical. Don't have to worry about it too much for WordPress unless you're really fooling around in the back end. But if you have a custom website, you just got to make sure you created it properly. This is like the back end code stuff. You don't want to leave. You can be like, there's little like, you could type in some code. Basically, make sure the back end code of your website's good, or else you can have problems. And yeah, they could enter, like, let's say they're entering, there's an email submission form on your website. If they found through SQL, there's like basically a broken part of the code, they could type in something there and basically hack your site. It doesn't happen too much these days because people are pretty good with the backend stuff, and a lot of people aren't typing that themselves. So, but just make sure that's good. Just some technical stuff. Here's a just tip for everyone. Try to only have one website per hosting container. So like if you pay for, let's use GoDaddy as an example, because that's a big one that a lot of people pay for. You can put multiple WordPress applications in one container website, but if a virus gets in there, it'll infect all those websites. So instead, you want to have a different, you want to pay for a different server for each website. It might be a little bit more money, but it's a lot safer. I had a client who had like 10 websites in one basket, and it came to her, and it was just all infected. And what were you going to do at that point? And no backups either. So all those were just gone like that. You never want to just build all websites in one easily accessible container. You can encrypt those, but if you don't know how to do that, just pay for different hosting. Yeah, and the old phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Getting rid of older user accounts, like I talked about earlier, you need sensible user privileges. Only you should be the admin unless you have a very good technical person doing your website work for you, then them and you. But even then, they don't need to be the admin to do most stuff. Really, you should have it so only you, if it's your website, it should only be one admin, and that should be the person who owns that website. And delete old accounts. If there's someone who has an account on there that doesn't work for you or has anything to do with the website anymore, delete that account. Go through the accounts. I bet you'll find 2 or 3 that you don't even know whose those are. Boom, delete them. They might be from 2 years ago. And that's it. It was kind of a short one today, but make sure you subscribe and like, hit that notification bell. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll post some links and some other stuff in the doobly-doo down below. If you guys have any questions now, though, please feel free. Yeah, just leave a comment.